when is white mediocrity not going to be acceptable anymore? And when, like, how excellent do people of color and Black folks have to be to actually change the norm and raise the standards of what we expect of each other and how we treat each other?
I'll let Marvin take this one.
White mediocrity will always be seen as phenomenal as long as white supremacy is here, and white supremacy is here to stay. So I think it's just up to us, it's up to people of color to just make better shit, to just make phenomenal shit, and to keep supporting each other. I absolutely love Issa Rae and Insecure. Absolutely love everything about it because it is so much better than any Friends or any like white bullshit that they put that's super mediocre. And then you look at this show with these phenomenal Black actors and actresses, these beautiful Black people, the cinematography of it, the writing, everything of the music, everything about it is so just phenomenal. And so I think we just have to keep doing that and keep supporting our people. And then the white people are going to be like, oh, damn. I mean, they're probably going to try to take it too. Let's be honest. But, I think right now it's like we created though. And we have proof. And we're not in this, space where you can just take our shit and call it yours as far as film anyway. I mean, trends and shit like that, obviously, like doing that. But as far as film, as far as music, at this time, you're not going to steal our shit. You're going to try to probably recruit, but in the environment we are now, we can and will say no because we know we don't need you anymore, right? And so I think we just have to just keep creating phenomenal shit because I think white mediocrity and call out white mediocrity where we see it, and we need white people to call out white mediocrity too. Those allies that everyone loves to call themselves, we need you to call out white bullshit all the time.
And don't consume their media because it's shit.
Yes. And also, we have to know the difference between respectability and excellence. I think we need to operate in excellence, but we need to drop respectability as something. I love the fact that after George Floyd died, it took a while for people to start talking about his past. Because you should not have to be a perfect person for respect and for dignity and for life. Because white folks aren't requiring that. If that were the case, then Dylann Roof would be dead after he went and murdered elderly folks that prayed for him. So I think that it's on Black folks too and folks of color. Drop the fucking respectability. I don't have to be perfect.
Yeah.
Now the excellent shit, I'll operate because my shit's always gonna be tight. But I don't have to be a perfect person. Hell, there might be a nude out there. There might be all kind of shit out there. But as long as I'm producing, and as long as I treat the next person like a decent human being, and even if I don't, there's still some inalienable rights that I deserve, and I still deserve a jury of my peers, and there are just some things I deserve. And I love, love, love the fact that this time, even white folks were on that hype of like, there's nothing you can fucking do that would deserve this death. Yeah. And that was the changing point for this. And also the fact that white folks hadn't really watched the lynching. That was a real lynching.
Oh, yeah.
That was it's different to watch people get shot in the back. That was a real lynching.
That was slow, deliberate, and public.
And to still desecrate his body after he died. If you watch the video, which I watched twice.
Ooh, I can't.
Twice. I can't. And first of all, let me just say this for all people that will see this. White people need to watch that video. They need to quit saying it's too much for them. They need to fucking watch it. If you haven't, you need to watch it.
Yeah.
And he remains on his neck for 2 minutes after the man is done. He is dead at that point. And he still desecrates his body. It's no different than Boyd and you shoot a man in the back and then you stand on him and kick him in the face. That is a real fucking lynching. Because that is a part of lynching where you start doing weird shit to a body. I don't know how broken you have to be a part of that, but I digress. But we definitely need to drop respectability. I think they tried it in the 60s. It didn't fucking work. People don't care how fucking upstanding you are. they still will treat you like shit. We are allowed to be human. We are allowed to be flawed. And that still doesn't take away our inalienable rights. And we need to make that clear. And I love that that was a part of this movement. No matter what the fuck George Floyd did in his past, he served his time. He was a working man. And $20 counterfeit bill should not have been that big of a fucking deal. And whoever called the police, the shop owner, or whoever, that shit needs to haunt them too. You made a big fucking deal out of nothing. I have had 2 fake $20 bills, didn't know it, and thank God the store was like, oh, this shit has been happening. It's no big goddamn deal. You're out of $20, but this is what it is. Yeah. I can't even imagine if somebody called the police and made a big fucking deal out of $20. It's $20.
I don't care if it's 100. How did you, if it's in circulation, you're not walking around with those pens, checking every fucking dollar from the bank.
People are assuming, how are you supposed to know? You don't know. I don't work at the goddamn bank. Just because somebody was slipping that day, this man lost his life. That's fucked up. But he didn't have to be perfect. You don't have to be to deserve a death with at least dignity. I mean, think about think about all the levels of that. He broke this man down. Another grown man broke a grown man down so far he was calling out for his mother. Just take all his humanity, not just his humanity, but trying to strip him of his manhood. I mean, what the fuck are we in the, is this slave times where we buck breaking? Like, what the fuck are we doing? That's what that amounted to. And that was a signal to the entire community that this can be you. Yep. And that's what he did.
That's what it always is.
That's what it always is. But that was real deep because he emasculated all the men around who were not able to help. It was very sick and very deliberate. And you don't have to be, you can have robbed 5 stores and had $1,000 worth of counterfeit bills and you still deserve better than that.
Look, he was the thing that we deal with in Australia is what they call like the parallel to Black Lives Matter that's happening in the U.S. is you know, they spell black without the C to denote indigenous lives, and there's like you know, our current struggle here is that the black men or the indigenous Aboriginal men picked up by the cops don't even make it to a jail. They get killed in custody. So whereas we're seeing black men in the United States lynched on the street before they ever get to custody, these cowardly cops out here, they don't even want to do it. They can't even do it in public. They drag the person to a private place and then it just doesn't get talked about because nobody can see it, right? But now that people are starting to video, you know, police harassment of civilians and regular folks, you know, we have this idea of like, how different is that George Floyd video from the postcards that were made to commemorate real lynchings that were sold like as a fun thing all those years that lynching was, you know, carried out to terrorize black people every day just for breathing.
Yeah. It's just a sickness. It's sickness, and then you're able to desecrate a body. I mean, we don't even have the time to go into the sexual element of a lynching at times.
I did want to ask you about it because you mentioned that in passing, and and we'll close. You know, we'll do something after this and just close. But the sexual component of a lynching in your experience or in your understanding is it the idea that a black man is lynched because he's been accused of sleeping with a white woman?
No, literally, there are accounts where the penis was kept as a trophy. There was often times where men were castrated during that. It literally had a sexual component. Men were raped before, women were raped before. There's a story of a woman who was lynched along with her son because she tried to stop a group of white men from raping her son. So there's always, and I think that, I can't remember the author that says it, so I won't attribute it to anyone, but that racism is a lot of times is repressed sexual energy. It's this repression because you're, think about it. Black people are the only people that are fetishized and feared. And so that's a lot of energy, right? To have this fetish, to be fascinated, to be obsessed with, but to fear. And so there's always this, there's a lot of times there's this sexual component. And I believe even with George Floyd, because there's a sexual component to emasculating another man in that way, in any way. I think that when you take somebody's manhood or take someone's femininity from them, that is sexual aggression. And I think that people don't even realize sometimes that they're doing it. When I remember, like, people would always ask me to pick things up. To me, that's aggressive, because you're saying that my body, first of all, I lack femininity and I should be able to do those things. And so I think that the U.S. particularly, I think that all countries where there are folks of color that have been subjugated and been discriminated against have an element of sexual aggression against those people, because they see them as less and they see them as something fascinating. You never desecrate the bodies of people you think are boring. It's always people that you're obsessed with and you fetishize.
The other.
So there are a lot of accounts where you hear about men being castrated and being raped, women same. So it is a long-standing part of the lynching process. There has to be a level of, particularly with men, emasculation.
I just am reminded of, sorry, what did you say?
Oh no, I was just saying, or infantizing.
I was just, as you were talking, thinking about Dr. Joy DeGruy and post-traumatic slave syndrome. And basically she connects the actions between like black men, black women, black men and slave owners, black men, white women, and connects how the interactions back then are still carrying over, and we see similar, acts and like relationships between certain groups now. So I'm not going to go into detail because there's so much, but it is fascinating. She does the research, Dr. Joy DeGruy, and it's called post-traumatic slave syndrome. And
there was also collective chronic trauma as well that you've been posting about. And is that kind of similar to post-traumatic slave syndrome?
It's related. I think that collective chronic trauma can be part of post-traumatic slave syndrome. So collective chronic trauma, I think, is what Black people, specifically in the United States right now, are going through and have been going through. Collective because obviously it's Black people who have been murdered for doing nothing, existing. And so Black people feel it in a different way. Our connection is different than anybody else's. It's chronic because it's been happening for, I don't know how long. I know it's just starting to be recorded in the past like 15, 20 years. And so now when it's on social media or when it's on the news, we're being triggered and re-traumatized over and over again. And so it's chronic in that sense, and then it's chronic as in like, Ahmaud Arbery was a month ago, and then Breonna Taylor was a while ago, and then, countless names. And so it's happening that way too. And it's traumatic for us. And so when I think about the protests and when things, get violent, first of all, a lot of people from out of town and white folks are doing it, or bricks are, conveniently placed in certain areas, first of all. But even if it was Black people, we are filled with so much trauma and emotion and so much anger and fucking rage from what's been happening to us since we got to this fucking country. I'm surprised we haven't burned shit down years ago because there's so much harm that white people do to us on a daily. And it's been happening for so long. So even if we did want to fuck shit up, it is completely justified.
And when did America start clutching its pearls at violence? When did that be? Oh my God, violence.
What else how to do shit?
Where did we learn? The country is built on a riot. Are you serious right now?
That's right, and looting, and people always want to talk about slavery and colonization like they exist in the past. we are living in colonization right now. We can see it doesn't work. It's a shitty system, and we need to think of something better.
I have to grab my keyboard. Sorry, guys.
We're just gonna, we'll wrap up in a minute. Is there anything else that we could probably like cover, you think, that could be included in this? What makes you?
I mean, I just want, I think that I was questioning why so many people now are caring about these things, right? Because this isn't new. This isn't new at all. I think that it was a perfect storm of events that kind of happened. So COVID obviously is here. So you can't go anywhere. There are no sports to distract us. There are no concerts to distract us. We're not going with our friends to restaurants. So we at home. We ain't doing shit else. If we're at home, many of us are watching TV or we're on our phones on social media. And so,
but being at home and no distractions is what allowed white people to watch it at this volume, I think.
Yes, that forced white people. And that's why it's important, is because white people started watching it. White people started caring.
Yes, and when
in large numbers.
Yeah, and something that connects you is when you can be the biggest, baddest bitch on earth, but when you become a mother and you hear somebody call out for their mother, that's a whole different feeling.
Yeah.
And I don't care who you are, even in that moment, you don't see any color. You heard somebody calling out for their mother.
Yeah.
And that's something that speaks to your fucking soul.
That's a good point.
So I don't like for people to talk about mothers as if they're these, above all beings, but it really does. At that, like in those kind of moments, though, I don't care who you don't see color. He's called for his mother, and we all know what that feels like, to call for your mother, and then to have a child and see, what would I do if my child was calling for me and I couldn't come to them? I couldn't reach you in your time of need. She couldn't come in. And so I think that piece too was just like, the pain of watching that was like an equalizer. Like, there was a lot of people that I was even surprised that I'm like, I know are kind of more conservative, but don't necessarily say it. And even they were like, oh no, I can't fuck with that. That was too much. But yeah, us being inside, we all watched that together. And I think that's one thing to get to change, is people collectively sharing pain.
Yeah.
This is one of the first times in history I feel like white people have had to share in our pain, whether they wanted to or not.
Yeah.
Like, they had to engage with us. They kept showing it. They kept putting it on TV. It was on Facebook. It was everywhere. And they had to engage.
Yeah.
Even the ones that were like, well, I don't want to. You still saw at least a 10-second clip of that. And 10 seconds really was enough. I mean, sitting through the whole 10-minute video twice was,
I don't watch those.
I don't think that everybody needs to. I think, like, I don't know about you all, but like, I've watched the 13th, but I'm not ready for when they see us.
No.
Like, I would need a whole community.
That I can't watch. I remember going into Target when that first came. I was pregnant. That was like last year. I was pregnant, and people had started watching it. And like a friend that at my old job was like, I couldn't go to work after I watched it. Like, I couldn't. The sadness and the rage, I couldn't even go to work. And then to know that that man is the one running our country that called for these young kids' death. And I went into Target. So by this time, I'm huge, And this woman is like, just not looking right. And I'm, hi, how are you? How's your day? And she's like, I watch when they see us. She was like, what are you having? I said, I'm having a little boy. And she said, you have to watch it if you're going to bring a Black male into this world. And I haven't gotten there yet. My dad watches some of the most horrific shit I've ever heard of. And he was like, I'm good. I shouldn't have watched that.
Oh.
I should not. He literally was like, that was not cool to watch at all.
Yeah.
I'm not there yet. Have you watched it, Marvin? Are you?
No, I haven't watched When They See Us. I'm not watching 13. I'm not. I can't do it. Like this is my. I'm a black man first, and then I have to hear stories from clients. Not doing it.
Yeah,
That's it.
I know
Yeah,
how it. I
you
know
have
how
I,
it.
I
you
really
have
watched
to.
because when he screamed out for his something just in me kind of broke, and I needed to watch it again because that was the piece that was even just, and I was like, okay, we're in a
I have seen the still image of the knee on his neck with the cops watching, and I just heard someone tell me that he was calling for his mom. I didn't watch the video, just this still and hearing that he called for his mom, and I cried,
it's too much.
cried
I was
like I had seen the video, cried because I can imagine it, but
he literally begging for his life, and I've never I will never be okay after watching that. Like after watching it, I was like, I'm not okay. Like this is something we are in a whole new territory here because it felt like slavery. It felt like some shit. You're like, oh, this is in that moment. It was like 1855, like that moment.
I think it's a really good, like Marvin, what you're saying about like not watching certain things as self-care. I think it's our responsibility to keep tabs on like, because I know I suffer from complex PTSD, and I know if I was Black, it would be a lot more intense and it would be a lot more debilitating. Um, but yeah, like we don't have to watch anything we're not comfortable with. We're gonna hear about it anyway,
Oh yeah.
multiple
we
times.
know how it ends. We know how it ends.
Yeah.
I don't need to see it in detail.
I still
So
maintain white folks. I still maintain. I don't
I
think
think
we need to watch it. We know that. I still maintain that white folks need to watch it because I think for too long they've been able to hide from our pain and
Oh
able
yeah, we need
to
to watch all of it.
yeah,
that's the
and
least
able to
they can do. That's the least they can do is
that should be on the homework list.
Yeah.
so I want to thank both of you for spending so much time. This has been 3 hours with one 5-minute break. So you're probably busting to go to the bathroom, but I just really want to thank you guys for helping to, advance my cause here in Australia as well, because I feel like I've traveled 30 years back in time, where I'm arguing with people about whether people of color is an actual word that I get to use. So I feel like all the shit that we went through in university in the 2000s, I'm now like reliving that mess out here in a very different context. But it really helps to have your perspectives because, as I said, most Australians don't know a real Black person from the States. They only know you from media, and it's a very sensationalized version of what Black life in the United States really is. So it's good to get a little window. And I hope that you two do connect and are able to get Marvin's podcast episode that he's been trying to get. I admire the work that both of you do.
I'm gonna help you out with that.
Yeah, it's been an incredible, like 15 years that I've known both of you, and I'm going to continue to follow your media, consume everything that you write and put out there, and share to my pages as much as I can to get the message out. And yeah, I would love to follow up sometime. It's kind of a weird circumstance for us to be doing this now when I haven't talked to you all in over 10 years, and we just keep in touch like over the internet. And I was able to see Marvin in Boston that one time when you were in graduate school. We had a drink. I was in town. I was getting certified to become a French teacher, and that was a whole Boston like trip when I was living in Korea. But it's yeah, I admire the work that you do. You all are advancing your cause on the local and the global level, and anything that I can do to help with that, please just let me know.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having us on this thing. And I mean, y'all both have been in Australia, lived in Australia, and I've never been. So hopefully I can go and watch you in that comedy show there. I'm excited for that.
Thank you so much. This has been awesome, and it's been really great to meet Marvin, and I will definitely be kind of reaching out there. We've got some notes to compare, I think.
Same to you. It was great meeting you and hearing about your experiences. Yeah, I always love meeting new dope people. So yeah, can we plug our social medias and
Yes,
such?
please do. Please, you be first, Marvin.
So on Instagram, you can follow me personally. It's M as in money, Toliver _LSW. And then my collective is Melanated Social Work, MELANATED. We have the Melanated Social Work podcast you can find on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and wherever the hell else you listen to podcasts. And then Melanated Mindfulness Mondays, 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific on Instagram Live. I've had practice.
Yeah, elevator speech. Jessica, are you on Instagram? Because I don't know that I've seen you on it.
I am on Instagram. It's under Dailey Queen Bee 19, DAILEY QUNBEE 19. And same name under Twitter. Are folks using Twitter? My God,
I'm not brave enough for Twitter, but good for you.
Twitter's hardcore, man. Woo. And of course on Facebook I can be found. I am always open to messaging with folks and sharing thoughts. So yes, so Daily Queen Bee on both Twitter and on Instagram.
Well, I'm Tina Teacher on Instagram and also Type 5 Comedy Show with the number 5. And this has been another episode of whatever the hell we're doing with this interview documentary situation that is still being fleshed out. But I will be releasing the footage bit by bit in the next few weeks, just as people are trying to educate themselves more about kind of our cross-continental struggles and victories. And, you've helped shed light on why creatives should take better care of their mental health and how it can actually bolster their creativity to like improve not only their well-being but their career prospects as well. So there's a lot in here, and I look forward to editing and publishing, and I will tag you all in the publications, and I will follow up by sending you the audio and video over email. And if you have anything that you want to follow up on, or if you have any other things that come up, just reach out. And hope to collaborate on something in the future. And the more you write, the more possibility that there is of us being able to do that. So maybe we'll think of something creative to do next, now that we've gotten through these layers of like covering this very important content, talking about some really important connections between Australia and the United States. And let's keep the conversation going.
Sounds good.
I'll see you all later. See you online.
All right.
Bye, guys. See you online.